Hey guys, welcome back to the 10th episode of the Magic Shooter tutorial. In this episode, we'll be setting up the main menu and handling Unity scene transitions. We'll dive more into Unity's UI objects in order to do this with buttons and scene transitions. By the end, we'll be able to go to the main menu, go to the main game, and set up the beginnings of a scoring system. To get this started, we'll go to the main menu scene. We want some buttons that will take us to different places. First, we want to create a new UI button and name that button Play Button. This will be the button to start the game. We want to set the position to -157, 50, with the height and width at 210 and 100. You may need to change this size based on your screen, but these numbers should be good in general. We'll keep this anchor and pivot in the same location, since we don't need to scale anything too closely to it. You can see the parent object is the actual button, and the child is a text object. As the name suggests, it holds text that will be displayed in the button. We can change the text to play and select Best Fit for Text, Paragraph. This helps the scaling and resizing of the font better. This works in this case, but isn't always a solution for every use of UI text. Just like before, a canvas has been created. We want to make sure in the canvas that we set the scale mode to be scale with screen size. We want to make another button for exiting the game. We can duplicate the play button and rename it to quit button. The new position is at 0, -150, and the width and the height are at 105 and 55. The text will be quit instead, since the button is used to leave the game. Next step is to set up the high score UI elements. For the high score, create a new text UI in the canvas. Rename it to high score and change the position to 165, 70, and the width and height to 220 and 70. We can set the actual text to high score &s, and like the other ones, select best fit. The &s is going to be used in the code later to fill in with the variable of the high score. Duplicate any of the buttons and rename it to reset high score button. As the name implies, clicking on this will reset the high score. So naturally, change the text to reset high score. The position for this button is going to be at 165, 15, with the width and height of 260 and 45. Now that we've got the actual object set up, we want to create a script that controls these buttons, a script called main menu controller. To be able to call these functions that are used for UI and scenes, we need to import UI and scene management. So we want a few functions here. In awake, when it's initialized, we want to set our cursor mode to none, like before, since the player is not in the main menu scene. Buttons can activate functions and make things happen by taking in a component of a game object and calling public functions. So we want two public functions. The play button will transition to the next scene, named Arena, and the quit button will exit the game, which can be called by application.quit. Back in the editor, attach the script to the canvas. On the button component of the play button, there's a section for events to happen when the button is clicked, labeled onClick. Click the plus button to add a new event. Since the canvas object has a script for the functions that we want to call, drag the canvas object into the space for game objects. Then, in the function section, you can select main menu controller and select play arena. So now, when that button gets clicked, it will call Play Arena. We can do the same thing with the quit button, except that we want to use the quit function instead. If you remember before, when the player dies, it reloads to the current scene. However, now that we have the main menu set up, we want it to go to the main menu scene. So in Decrease Health in Player Controller, replace the load scene function to load the main menu when you die. In order for the scene manager to load different scenes, we actually need to add the scenes to the build settings. This is where you would go to actually build and create executable files or apps of your game to play outside of Unity. For now, we just need to add them to scenes and build. We can do that by dragging the scenes into here. We also want to make sure that main menu is first, so that it's the first thing that shows up when the game is started. You can also see here that there are numbers assigned to each scene. When calling load scene, you can use these numbers instead of the scene numbers. Just be wary that these numbers are relative to the order that they're in here. Now we've got a working main menu and scene transitions. When we die, we go back to the main menu. In the next episode, we'll implement the score and the leaderboard for the game. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next part.